Welcome to another episode of New Perspectives. I'm Kacey Davis-Uchok, and today we're taking a bite of the future of food. From lab-grown meat to vertical farms and flying harvest drones, science is completely rewriting what ends up on our plates. We'll meet the pioneers turning proteins into pixels, chefs printing dinner in 3D, and farmers growing crops in the sky. It's all part of a global food revolution that's changing how we eat and how we care for our planet. So grab your fork and your curiosity. Let's dig in. Imagine biting into a juicy burger made from real animal cells, but no cows, no farms, no slaughter. That's the promise of lab-grown or cultivated meat. Real meat minus the footprint. The idea is already cooking around the world. In Singapore, California-based food tech Good Meat, division of Eat Just, made history as the first to sell lab-grown chicken approved for public sale. Here's how it works. Animal cells are nurtured in a nutrient-rich tank until they form real tissue. The version on shelves blends a small portion, roughly 3%, of that cultivated meat with plant-based ingredients for texture and scale. Across the Pacific, Upside Foods, also California-based, founded by cardiologist Dr. Uma Valeti, is pushing the science towards scale. Upside built one of the largest cultivated meat facilities in the world, where chicken is grown from a small sample of animal cells, no slaughter required. In 2023, it became one of the first companies to receive full U.S. regulatory clearance from the FDA and USDA to sell cultivated chicken. Right now, it's serving limited tastings in restaurants while building larger production plants for future supermarket launch. If they succeed, it could mark the moment when cultured meat goes from laboratory curiosity to mainstream choice. And in South Africa, Mzansi Meat Company is pioneering Africa's first cultivated meat venture. Founded in 2020, the Cape Town-based startup is developing cell-based burgers and steaks tailored for African tastes and markets. Their work underscores that this isn't just a Western experiment. It's a global shift in how we think about food. Studies suggest that, compared to traditional livestock, cultivated meat could cut greenhouse gas emissions by as much as 90%, use far less land and water, and help feed a growing world sustainably. Still, one big question remains. When science starts cooking dinner, will people line up to take a bite? While lab-grown meat is still finding its footing, plant-based meat has already taken a bold step in the mainstream. In California, companies like Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods have turned veggie burgers into global sensations. Beyond Meat, founded in 2009, re-engineered familiar favorites, burgers, sausages, and meatballs, using proteins from peas, rice, and beans. You'll find their products sizzling on grills in cities like Toronto, London, and Dubai, and even across parts of Africa. Impossible Foods, launched in 2011, went deep into the chemistry of flavor. Its secret ingredient is heme, a plant-derived molecule that gives meat its signature aroma, taste, and even that faint pink sizzle on the grill. By studying meat at the molecular level, Impossible scientists recreated its taste experience with soy, protein, and natural fats. No animals required. These breakthroughs did something remarkable. They brought sustainability to fast food. The Impossible Whopper at Burger King has taken that idea worldwide, from Seoul and Hong Kong to Sydney. Plant-based meats now make up a multi-billion-dollar industry available in more than 80 countries. They use far less land and water than livestock and can cut greenhouse gas emissions by up to 90% compared to beef. They've gone from niche to normal, proof that the future of food can be both ethical and delicious. Another quiet revolution is happening at the microscopic level, one that's changing how we make milk, cheese, and even eggs. It's called precision fermentation, and it's basically using science's tiniest helpers, microbes, to do what cows and chickens once did. Here's the magic. Scientists teach yeast or fungi to make the same proteins found in animal milk or eggs. These microbes go to work in stainless steel tanks, bubbling away like a futuristic brewery. A few days later, out comes real dairy protein, identical to what you'd find in a glass of milk, just made without animals. One of the leaders is Perfect Day from Berkeley, California. They use microflora to make whey protein that's molecularly identical to the kind in cow milk. That single protein becomes the building block for ice cream, cheese, and yogurt that taste traditional, but come with a much smaller environmental footprint. Perfect Day's ingredients now appear in thousands of products worldwide, used by food companies to make dairy foods that look and taste familiar, but are made entirely without cows. And it's not just milk getting a makeover. The Every company, also US-based, creates real egg proteins without hens, used in baking mixes, drinks, and protein powders. Meanwhile, Change Foods, operating out of the US and Australia, is re-engineering cheese from the molecular level up, aiming for that same creamy melt without the methane. What makes this even cooler? Customization. Because these foods are designed molecule by molecule, researchers can fine-tune them, adding extra nutrients, removing allergens, or even improving texture and flavor. It's like giving food a software update. This technology is still scaling up, but its promise is huge. It can deliver consistent, safe, sustainable nutrition anywhere, even in regions where fresh dairy is hard to get. So this isn't just about replacing milk, it's about reinventing it for a cleaner, smarter, and more resilient food future. We've brewed milk without cows, so what's next? How about printing dinner? It might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but 3D food printing is already here, and it's giving chefs and scientists a whole new way to create meals. Instead of ink, these printers use edible ingredients, pureed vegetables, doughs, chocolates, or plant-based proteins. Layer by layer, they print intricate shapes, textures, and even full dishes. One of the trailblazers is Natural Machines, the Barcelona-based company behind Foodini, a countertop printer that's already being tested in professional kitchens. It can print everything from ravioli and crackers to chocolate decorations or plant-based burger prototypes. Think of it as a culinary design tool. Chefs load fresh ingredients into the capsules, set the design, and let the printer do the rest. Meanwhile, in northern Spain, Cocus is scaling the technology up. The company operates one of the world's first industrial-scale 3D food printing facilities, producing plant-based products such as salmon, fillets that look, cook, and taste surprisingly close to the real thing. With backing from major food investors, Cocus aims to print thousands of tons of sustainable protein in the coming years. And across the Atlantic, Redefined Meat, based in the US, is pushing the limits of 3D printed meat alternatives, creating realistic beef and lamb cuts made entirely from plant proteins. Their products are already being served in select restaurants in the US, Europe, and Asia, giving diners a first taste of what printed steaks might look like in the future. But this technology isn't just about novelty or convenience. It opens the door to personalized nutrition, meals tailored to a person's exact dietary needs, age, or health condition. In hospitals, researchers are using 3D printing to create soft, nutrient-rich foods for patients who have difficulty chewing or swallowing. meals that are as appealing to the eye as they are easy to eat. 3D printing also helps fight food waste by using precise portions and repurposing surplus ingredients into new creations. And because every print is digital, chefs can share recipes that can be downloaded, tweaked, and reproduced anywhere, a true fusion of food and technology. It's still early days, but 3D food printing hints at a future where meals aren't just cooked. They're crafted layer by layer with precision, creativity, and sustainability baked right in. From printing food to growing it in a new way, our next stop takes us somewhere unexpected. Up. Farming is reaching new heights, literally. From the rooftops of skyscrapers to the basements of shopping malls, a quiet green revolution is taking root. It's called Controlled Environment Agriculture, or CEA, a system where plants grow indoors in stacked layers under carefully tuned light, temperature, and humidity. Think farming meets science lab, cleaner crops, faster growth, and far less land and water than traditional fields. In Singapore, Sky Greens was one of the first to make it real. Picture slim towers of vegetables slowly rotating like a Ferris wheel, each tray catching just the right amount of sunlight and mist. Every drop of water is reused again and again, proof that innovation doesn't need acres to thrive. Across the United States, Aero Farms took the concept sky high. Instead of soil, they use aeroponics, gently misting roots with nutrient-rich water. The result? Leafy greens grown with up to 90% less water and 0 pesticides. After a few bumps in the road and a full reboot, Aero Farms is showing how tech-driven farming can still stay true to the planet. And in Istanbul, inside the İstinye Park shopping mall, a glass-walled 1,500 square meter vertical farm produces roughly 900,000 leafy greens every year. Kale, herbs, and lettuce harvested just meters from the cafes and restaurants that serve them. No long-haul trucks, no chemicals, just light, precision, and a little urban magic. Vertical farms like these don't just grow food. They grow ideas about cities that feed themselves, about sustainability that fits into our daily lives. Yes, energy use and setup costs still pose challenges, but the potential is enormous, because when farms start growing up instead of out, the future of food looks a lot greener. We've seen how farms can grow upward. Now let's see how they're getting smarter. Across the fields of the world, a new kind of teamwork is taking shape between humans, machines, and the sky above. Drones and artificial intelligence are helping farmers see their crops in entirely new ways. Equipped with high-resolution cameras and sensors, drones can scan vast fields in minutes, spotting signs of stress, pests, or dry soil long before the human eye can. Then AI steps in to turn that data into insights about irrigation, fertilization, and yield. In Serbia, a company called Agrimo is leading the charge with drone-based crop analytics. Their platform processes aerial images to detect disease, monitor plant growth, and even predict yields, helping farmers make precise, data-driven choices instead of relying on guesswork. You might remember from our first episode that drones are already being used to spray crops efficiently and safely. That same technology is now expanding to almost every corner of agriculture, from soil mapping to orchard management. Meanwhile, down on the ground, the robots are rolling in. In Florida, Harvest Crew Robotics developed a strawberry picking robot that combines computer vision, AI, and robotic arms to gently pluck ripe fruit without bruising it. Each unit can cover acres per day, tackling one of farming's biggest challenges, labor shortages during harvest season. In Africa, new startups are adapting these technologies for local needs. In Ghana, Cara Agro AI uses drones and machine learning to map cashew farms and detect disease early. In South Africa, aerobotics provide tree crop farmers, from citrus to macadamia, with drone imagery and AI analytics to flag problem areas before they spread. Together, these innovations are reshaping agriculture, making farms smarter, faster, and more sustainable. Drones bring the sky's perspective, AI brings the brain, and robots bring the muscle. Of course, challenges remain. The equipment can be expensive, and reliable internet or power isn't always available in rural regions. But each year, these tools are becoming smaller, cheaper, and smarter, moving from experimental tech to everyday helpers. Because in the fields of tomorrow, technology doesn't replace the farmer, it empowers them. From drones in the sky to robots in the soil, it's teamwork between people and machines, feeding a world that's growing fast, one smart harvest at a time. If drones and robots are giving us smarter farms, blockchain is helping us build smarter food chains. Every apple, avocado, and coffee bean has a story, but until recently, it was almost impossible to trace. Now, digital ledgers are changing that. Blockchain technology lets every step of a product's journey be recorded and verified, from farm to warehouse to supermarket shelf. Each transaction becomes a block in a chain that can't be altered, giving producers, retailers, and consumers a clear window into where food comes from and how it was handled. One of the pioneers is IBM Food Trust, a network that's already working with global retailers like Walmart. In pilot programs, IBM's blockchain system traced mangoes from farm to store in just a few seconds, a process that once took nearly a week. Faster traceability means quicker recalls when safety issues arise. In France, supermarket giant Carrefour uses blockchain to track everything from free-range chicken to eggs and milk. Shoppers can scan a QR code on the package to see details about the farm, feed, and journey. Transparency you can literally hold in your hand. Of course, blockchain isn't a silver bullet. The data is only as trustworthy as the people and systems entering it. And small producers still face high costs and tech barriers. But its potential is clear: a food system where trust is digital and accountability is built in. Because when you can trace your food all the way back to its source, you're not just eating smarter, you're helping the world build a fairer, more transparent table for everyone. As we wrap up today's episode, let's look at one final frontier in food: the science of designing what we eat. That's where CRISPR comes in. The name sounds like a breakfast cereal, but it actually stands for clustered, regularly interspaced, short, palindromic repeats. A mouthful of science that's reshaping what we eat. Think of CRISPR as a tiny, incredibly precise pair of scissors for DNA. It can snip out a gene that causes disease or tweak one that controls sweetness, nutrition, or resilience, like giving nature a quick, smart edit instead of a full rewrite. Around the world, researchers are already putting it to work. In Australia, the company Intergrain is developing gene-edited wheat varieties that could yield more grain with fewer resources, a big step toward feeding a drier planet. In China, scientists have boosted the sugar content of tomatoes by nearly 30% using CRISPR, all without changing their size or flavor balance. And across Africa, teams in Nigeria, Kenya, and Ghana are editing staples like cassava and rice to resist pests and drought, helping farmers protect harvests as the climate shifts. In Nigeria, for instance, scientists are developing a CRISPR-edited cassava that can fight off brown streak disease, a virus that once wiped out entire crops. The promise doesn't stop at plants. In labs around the world, CRISPR is also being used to make healthier livestock and to fine-tune the microbes that create plant-based proteins and lab-grown meats, designing food that's cleaner, safer, and better for both people and the planet. The goal isn't to control nature, it's to collaborate with it using science to solve real challenges. From drought-resistant wheat to more nutritious rice, CRISPR is opening the door to food that's tougher, tastier, and tailor-made for a changing world. From lab-grown burgers and vertical farms to 3D printed desserts and gene-edited crops, the future of food is already being served. Smarter, cleaner, and more sustainable than ever before. But behind every new breakthrough, it's really about people. For communities across Africa and beyond, these technologies could be game changers, helping farmers, entrepreneurs, and innovators build a stronger, more independent food future. Because around the world, food security remains one of our greatest shared challenges and our greatest opportunity for change. The story of food is being rewritten by farmers, scientists, and dreamers everywhere. And whether it's grown in a field, a tower, or a lab, the goal remains the same: to feed people and the planet together. That's all for this episode of New Perspectives. I'm Kacey Davis Uchoke. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious, keep discovering, and stay tuned to AFROTURK TV.